Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Camper Report. Today, we have a former guest on, Alex from 49ers Cutback. We're going to discuss 49ers Cowboys and just think the keys for that game. But first off, how are you doing, Alex? I mean, playoffs. Last time we talked, the 49ers were at a low. I mean, I think last time it was right after they had beaten the Bears.
Mhm.
Um, Yep, and right before the Cardinals game. So things weren't too great then, but they are pretty good now. We got past the Rams. We're in the playoffs, and now we are set to play the Cowboys for a matchup that, a lot of people, I wanted the Buccaneers more, and I know you did too, but a lot of people, this is going to be an interesting matchup because they've met many times in the 90s and stuff like that. So, how are you doing today? And I'm excited to break down this matchup with you.
Hey man, I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Happy to be here. Glad we're able to get this set up
Yeah.
and scheduled. It's been crazy on our channel, man. We've been pumping out so much content, and we don't really have necessarily the time. I work job during the day. Ant works a job
Yeah.
at night, so we're always trying to find a way to collab with other people. So when you said, hey, Saturday, morning, afternoon might work, I was like, you know what, that works, and I'm glad because I really enjoy watching your stuff. Ant and I watch it as much as we possibly can. And you're grinding and killing it also, dude. So happy to be here, and even more excited about this matchup as a guy who was born in 1990. I caught the end really of the rivalry,
Yeah.
and don't
Yeah.
remember a whole lot of it. And then the Niners went into irrelevance, as did the Cowboys. So being able to have this moment where I learned, I
Yeah.
mean, I learned all about the 70s and the 80s from my father who grew up with it. So having this opportunity to kind of renew the rivalry after 27 years of no Cowboys and Niners in the playoffs is exciting for me. But I was in the same boat as you. I wanted the Bucks. It was Bucks
Yeah.
Cardinals, Bucks Cardinals. Then it was the Cowboys, and then last but not least the Rams again, because you just don't want to have to face a team three times,
Yeah.
especially when you beat them
3
twice. Beating them a third time is tough. So
Yeah.
the Cowboys were the third on my list. But funny enough, and told this to you before the show, Ant wanted the Cowboys, so he is
Yeah.
excited about this game this week. I think as all 49ers fans are.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like, even though people are, like, facing Tom Brady's tough, well, Tom Brady, we've seen him, like, without a good running game, he tends to kind of, like, you can shut him down, and so, like, Leonard Fournette is coming back against the Eagles, so that's huge, but, like, he without, like, some key weapons, we've seen he can get shut down, so it's not like he's completely like, you don't wanna play Tom Brady, but at the same time, it's like, at this point, he doesn't have very many weapons now. Yes, he is getting Leonard Fournette back, but they're gonna try to work him in and stuff, so that was the ideal matchup just because they're not like you want to face a team that isn't hot right now. And the Buccaneers, in my opinion, really didn't. They caught fire like earlier on, but now they really haven't caught fire in a while. So like the Buccaneers are you want to face a team that hasn't like that are cold, and I think in my opinion they're cold. They have some injuries. They're they're safe facing some tough circumstances. That's why I wanted to face them.
I get that, man. They're definitely dealing with circumstances and adversity right now, late in the season,
Yeah,
which makes it tough to overcome. You're also dealing with the distraction of AB and everything that's going on with that. So
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of reasons why that's a favor. It's a favorable matchup for anybody. Everybody
yeah,
wants it. The Eagles, fortunately enough for them, get it. But I think that's actually a positive thing
yeah.
for the Bucks because you have questionable quarterback play with Jalen Hurts. And a run
Right,
game that's hampered
right.
right now because of Miles Sanders' hand injury. So who knows? That game is going to be an interesting one coming up this Sunday.
Yeah. So let's get to the first topic that we have, obviously, 49ers versus Cowboys. Let's get into the first key for this game. How many turnovers do you think the 49ers have to have to maybe make it like I think they at least have to pull off a few things where on defensively, they have to make a few plays on the ball for them to really have real contention in this game. So how many turnovers do they really have to have in this game to make themselves have a better chance of winning and win this game?
Um, it's tough. It's tough to say with certainty like how many they need to
Yeah.
have because I've seen them win football games not creating any turnovers early in the football season. You won your first two games of the year without creating a turnover. So can the
Yeah.
Niners win games? I mean that's not true because they had the pick six against the Lions, but the Eagles game no turnovers. So can the Niners win not creating turnovers? They can. Is it easy?
Yeah,
Heck no. Heck
no.
no, it's not easy, especially with the injuries you've had to your secondary. The Niners have really needed something to go their way and bounce their way. But early in the season, they struggled because of a lack of turnovers. Here's what I'll say. What the Niners have shown is when they don't lose the turnover battle, they
Yeah,
win football games.
yeah,
So I think you can get away with just creating one turnover. Just a single turnover could be enough. It really just
yeah,
comes down to do you on the other side, are you securing the football and not turning it over?
right,
If Jimmy doesn't throw a pick and there's no fumbles or anything like that, then I think you can win this football game with one, just a single turnover, because it's the
yeah,
extra possession you need. Uh, but then again, the Cowboys offense has shown they can score some points. I think that the big thing that you have going into this game is that I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to rely on their run game. The Niners
run
have shown
game,
they can
right,
stop runs from other teams with 7 in the box, just your front
right,
7. You don't need to bring a safety down into the box in order to stop. So if you can do that, if you're the Niners, it's going to be really hard for them to chunk big plays out, which means they have to drive. They got to drive down the field to accomplish it. And I think if you start getting to that kind of game where it's physical, hat on hat, man on man type of football, where you got to out physical your opponent to get into the end zone. The Niners are built for that, and they'll end up
right.
edging this game out, maybe closer than fans would like, but they would edge the game out in a situation where they only created one. So I think one is enough. I think if you get more than one and don't turn it over yourself,
Right.
this game starts getting exponentially easier.
Yeah, and right, so they'll have to throw the ball more, which would rely more on Dak Prescott, and we've seen in games, like, he is not a perfect quarterback. Like, when you get a little bit of pressure on him, he tends to make mistakes. So if they can, like, take away the running option from the offense, that will really make them one-dimensional, and that's the big key. Just make the Cowboys one-dimensional, so make, Dak Prescott really make these tough decisions that he wouldn't have to usually make against teams that can't stop the run as much. And we've seen, I mean, Mike McCarthy isn't the greatest coach. We'll get to that later. And so you might be able to pick on, uh, just making them one dimensional to the point where, you'll eventually they'll shoot themselves. And that's what we did to the Rams last week. Eventually they're going to shoot themselves in the foot if you make them one dimensional. They can't play that way for the whole game.
Yes, and I think the difference too between last week against the Rams and this week with the Cowboys is
Yeah.
McVay is not the type of person who wants to be one-dimensional. McVay loves to spread out and throw the football. I think
Right.
everyone knows that. But McVay also comes from that Kyle Shanahan lineage. So he understands
Right.
the importance of the run game and that it has to be established and it is necessary for there to be success. McCarthy, not so much. The
Yeah.
running game is there to kind of just make teams be honest about it. And you
Right.
have a young
Right.
offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore who maybe hasn't learned those lessons yet and hasn't coached a
Yeah.
playoff game, hasn't played any playoff football himself. So you have a young, inexperienced coordinator in Kellen
Yeah.
Moore with a coach who will abandon the run game and has shown that consistently that he will, going up against a team that has shown they can stop the run with 7 in the box. I think it's just a matter of time before they go, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? This is
Yeah.
a waste of our time. Let's just throw the football 50 times and make, let's let Dak win this thing with his arm. And I think that bodes well for the Niners.
And they've shown that they, like, will do that many times. They did it against week 1 at the Buccaneers. Like,
Yep.
they are not afraid to do that, but it can lead to those mistakes, as I just said before, of, like, you're throwing it 60 times, but at the same time, like, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous way to play football, and no quarterback really is perfect when he's throwing it 55 times a game. So
Agree with you there, man. Agree with you there, Ben. You couldn't have said it any better myself, man.
yeah. So hold on. Okay. So Javier
Javier there. Oh,
Rios.
Javier Rios. Okay.
Oh, okay. A little worried that the media is pretty much all going for our Niners. I've seen that. They're all picking them. I don't even think I've
Hey,
seen
I
a single
see.
person pick for the
That's
Cowboys.
not true. I saw Get Up yesterday on ESPN. Everyone went Cowboys, including Ryan
Really?
Clark. Ryan Clark, who's been hyping up the Niners all week. It's back and forth everywhere you go. Here's what I worry about. I don't worry about what other people talk about the San Francisco 49ers. I worry about
Right.
what our guys are talking about and what they're focused on. I think 49ers
Yeah.
fans, it's really easy to look at what media personalities are doing and saying and what they're talking about and what they're not talking about and all the
Yeah.
other stuff and get really wrapped up in it. Let's not forget that after the 4-game losing streak, a lot of people said the season was over and we needed to blow things up. It was time to play Trey.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan needs to be fired. I mean, there were a lot of people in the
Yeah.
media saying this and harping on this, and they were completely wrong. So you can feel whatever way you want about the media picking a certain team, your team or not. The media, some of these people in the media aren't experts. They're just
Yeah.
fans, like you and me. Like they are
Right.
just fans. They are prone and fallible to mistakes, and sometimes a broken clock is right twice a day. So if you're worried about the media picking the Niners and the Niners losing
Yeah.
because of it, hey, a broken clock can be right twice a day. It can be right twice a day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's this time. Maybe it's this time.
Yeah, that's a good point. So do you have anything else to say, or should we move on to the next topic?
Look, I think the other thing too with turnovers that a lot of
Yeah.
people get focused on with the Niners is sometimes, especially early in the season, there was a lack thereof. The defense wasn't healthy. This is the healthiest this defense has been all year. Yes, you don't have Javon Kinlaw. Yes, you don't have Jason Verrett, but you have the emergence of Ambry Thomas. You have Emmanuel
Yeah.
Mosley, who has been playing lockdown corner
Right.
football all season, something that Ant and I predicted before the season. We said E-Man was
Yeah.
the man for the job opposite of Jason Verrett. He has been the man all year long for them. You add Dre Greenlaw and potentially Aziz Al-Shaair back into the
Sheer,
fold.
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the first time all season you're going to have all three guys since week
I
one playing.
know.
That is something that not a lot of teams are going to be able to prepare for, and D'Amico Ryan's going to be able to do a
Right.
lot of stuff with that.
Right. And like just like the injuries, like it really doesn't matter how you start it, it matters how you finish the season. Cardinals started it really good, but now we're getting hot at the right time. We're getting healthy at the right time. The only other team that is exact same as us is the Green Bay Packers. That's another team kind of standing in our way. We'll get to this later, but that's another team kind of standing in our way. They're getting
Absolutely.
healthy at the right time. They're getting all their key playmakers on defense back. So that's what I got to say. But yeah, it is very key that we're getting healthy right now in playoffs, in the playoffs. So
Agreed, man. It's an important thing. It's huge. There's a couple teams that's happening with, and we'll see. Sometimes that can throw off chemistry
yeah,
a little bit. And I think the Packers are going to be the team that's really it's going to throw things off because they got to wait a week
right.
before they can get all of those guys back in the fold. Luckily, the Niners got a couple of these guys back before your first round playoff game.
Yeah.
So Dre got the I guess the juice out last week against the Rams,
Yeah.
and hopefully a couple of the mistakes. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yeah. So the next topic we have, you touched on the secondary, and they've showed improvement, but again, you're going in with a rookie defensive coordinator. Do you think this secondary? Do you think it will be a concern, a problem in this game, or do you think we're fine with the secondary? Like, will it be the main problem in this game?
I think. Well, if by main
Yeah.
problem you mean the area that we can get attacked and exploited in, then
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is. I think it's the one area where there's questions because as much as Ambry Thomas has improved and developed, there's still moments where he struggles. Early against the Rams, they went at him with Tyler
Yeah.
Higbee. And he scored both of his touchdowns on what was Ambry Thomas coverage. Ambry Thomas on the first one steps up to set the edge on what he thinks is going to be a run, and Higbee slips out and he misses him. And then there's the big fade where Sean McVay decides he's going to run into the end zone and celebrate with his team, which ends up being a big yikes and a mistake. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, Sean. And so, look, I think there are weaknesses with Ambry Thomas's game still, but I think those weaknesses are pretty much limited now to one-on-one physical situations, which means one thing to me. There's really only one matchup in this game that I am thinking about and worried about. Ambry Thomas against Amari Cooper. That is the matchup I'm concerned with because Amari Cooper is a very
Against
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say against anybody on that wide receiver, you got Cedric Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but that's the one I'm most worried about because
Yeah.
Amari is physical. He's a great route runner.
Yeah.
And if you put him in situations where he's got to fight with Ambry Thomas for the football, I'm not 100% convinced Aubrey's always going to win those matchups. He's going to lose some of them. So it really comes down to what the scheme is. If you're able to keep your two safeties deep and they're not having to come up and stop the run and worry about coming up in space, then it becomes a little bit easier, right? Because you can run those man situations with Ambry on the outside, and if they got a deep route going over the top, he has safety help. And what did we see last week? They took a shot at Emmanuel Mosley with Jaquiski Tarkin over the top, and E-Man comes down with a big pick. So a lot of teams, some teams have gone at Ambry Thomas, some haven't. We'll see what the game plan is. What they may do is put Amari over there, trying to draw attention, and then try and go at Emmanuel Mosley where they know they got one-on-one coverage on the other side, or maybe try with a linebacker. The only problem is is that if Azeez Al-Shaair is back in the fold and they decide to go spread, the Niners can keep their their base 4-3 down, package on the field,
Right.
especially if it's a tight end and a running back out there. You can have a Fred Warner out there, extend out, cover against the tight end. If you have Tony Pollard out there in the slot, you can have Dre Greenlaw go cover him out in the flat. And now you have Azeez in case Zeke is back there in the backfield who can come up against the run and it's 5-on-5 football. I like that matchup for the 49ers. I don't necessarily like the Amari Cooper, Ambry Thomas matchup, but if the Niners are stopping the run game, if they're heavy stopping the run with 6-7 guys in the box, I feel a lot better about the cornerback room. But that is definitely going to be, I think, the matchup everyone needs to keep an eye out for.
Well, and I mean, it really all starts with how much the defensive line can get done up front. Because if we can not blitz too many times and not expose our secondary too many times, really it depends what the front four is going to get done up there, up front, because then we won't get exposed. So I don't expect there to be many blitzes, only occasionally on this, and it's really just gonna have to depend on if we can get home, and that it really starts with the defensive line. The secondary getting exposed starts with the defensive line. I do expect there to be a few big plays in this game, but if we can there was a few plays in the Rams game, but if we can obviously play it safe offensively, and then again, don't make there was a few big plays in the Rams game, but don't make it where it's almost every play you're oh crap. I'm not too worried. It can't really be like last year against the Bills, when we played them.
Yeah.
Similar situation. That's when the secondary kind of got exposed. So it can't really be like that.
I agree with you, but there was a big difference. I mean, I've heard a lot of 49ers fans all week talking about this. I've heard that game. I've heard the fact that we played the Cowboys last year and lost to them. I've heard a lot of Cowboys. I've learned a lot of Cowboys fan going, yeah, we may beat you guys last year, but this isn't the same team as last year. Hey, my guys, I don't know if you noticed this either. This isn't the same team as last year.
No.
And not even close to the same. The 2021, 2022 Niners are not the 2020, 2021 Niners. This is not the same team. These aren't the same rosters. You have Jimmy healthy. You have an actual run game despite the absence of Raheem Mostert. The wide receiver position healthy and thriving. George Kittle thriving. O-line healthy and operating. And then the defense, your defensive line is this year 11-man deep and healthy. So 11-man deep and healthy. You're adding in Maurice Hurst on top of that into the playoff scenario now for the Niners. Look, I have a lot of faith, and you're right. It does start with the front four. The front four has to get after it. I think you and I differ a little bit, though. I think DeMeco Ryans is actually going to bring pressure. I think he's going to bring pressure early in this game, only because I have seen Dak Prescott and this Cowboys team. If you show pressure, they sometimes won't check into runs or check it. Not runs, but short passes. Instead, you'll see max protect situations where he'll bring guys in, bring in running backs, shift in their tight ends, change the blocking protection to max protect, and still be like, hey, we're going to take a shot downfield even though you're bringing pressure. So if we're going to bring pressure and they're going to still try and beat us over the top because they're like, hey, secondary's weak, we're going to go at you. If the front wins, it's going to be big problems for Dak Prescott, and that's when mistakes can happen.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, you laid it out there, and that's a good point. I had not thought of that at all.
We watched the Arizona All-22 film back, and we watched the Vikings All-22 film back, and we were watching those games back, blitz scenarios. If the Cowboys offense felt like they had a matchup they wanted to exploit, rather than Dak keeping the formation, recognizing and calling out the blitz and checking the ball down in space, they would bring guys in, max protect, take those short routes away, and still trying to attack downfield where he wanted to attack. Sometimes it worked out, but when the pressure got to him, it most of the time didn't. And in the Arizona game, he had about 3 or 4 passes in that second half that they ended up scoring on the drive, but they should have been intercepted or picked off. Cardinals dropped that opportunity, and the Cowboys were able to survive and go downfield and score. If you're able to capitalize on those opportunities, if you're the Niners, we talked about earlier the turnover situation. The Cowboys could hand you turnovers if they try and be too aggressive.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just all about again, finishing on those plays and taking what the offense gives you. So it's a good point there. Speaking of keys for this game, another big key for this game, Micah Parsons, probably front runner for defensive MVP of the year. Already has got the defensive rookie of the year. Just, I mean, absolute baller. And this guy could potentially give Jimmy Garoppolo nightmares. This is the one guy on defense where I'm like, I'm not really necessarily scared about the corner that they have because his stats, what is it? What's his name?
Trayvon Diggs
Trayvon Diggs. Yeah. I'm not really
leads the league in interception, also leads the league in yards allowed.
Yeah, but if you look at like if the targets exactly, so like the targets and just like that is a very the interceptions is a very bad stat to look at. So like because he is also giving up so many yards. So I'm not really necessarily worried about Trayvon Diggs, but I am worried. The one guy that I'm worried on this defense about is Micah Parsons because we know Jimmy Garoppolo, he can't fold in this game. And if he does, it's over. So how, like you've watched film and stuff like that, how do you deal with Micah Parsons if you're Kyle Shanahan? Because he's going to be a main key is in this game, shutting Micah Parsons down.
So number one, he's used everywhere. So they use him as a
Right.
Mike, they use him as an outside linebacker, they'll bring him down as a pass rushing D end. I mean, he is literally a utility piece defensively. They line him up everywhere. So let me ask you something, Ben. Does that sound like anyone that you know that the Niners play 2 times a year in the NFC West? Does that sound like a player that you've heard of before? A lot of people don't make this connection. Isaiah Simmons from the Cardinals is very similar.
Ooh,
Isaiah Simmons is very
right,
similar. The only difference has
right.
been, right? The only difference has
Yeah,
been
I hear
Isaiah
that.
Simmons has never put together a season like Micah Parsons has put together as a
Yeah,
rookie
he's a
with the
rookie.
Cowboys. And I think a lot of that, you tip your hat to Dan Quinn and what he's done.
Right.
He did this with the Legion of Boom in Seattle early on with the Atlanta Falcons when he got there. He did that with them as well. They got after Tom Brady in that 20
Yeah.
the oh man, what Super Bowl was that? That wasn't 2019, it was 2016, the 2016 Super Bowl. They got after him
Yeah.
a big way early, but then struggled late. So look, I think if there's one thing that I know about Micah Parsons, they're going to utilize him a lot of ways. The question is how do they utilize him early? And I think this is where Kyle Shanahan's
Right.
game script very early in this game is going to kind of reveal to Kyle Shanahan what the plan is with Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I have seen consistently out of Micah Parsons. A lot of people talked about Arizona fans all week when we would go up to play him. You know, I went on He's on Fire podcast with Evan,
Yeah.
who talks all Arizona Cardinals, all Arizona sports, and everyone on that show. They had like 3 other guys on with him. Amit, Jay, all of them said Isaiah Simmons is going to lock down George Kittle. You just put him on George Kittle and it's fine. And then George Kittle would tear up the Cardinals. And I was like, okay, well, I don't think that matchup is as good for you as you think. I think Micah Parsons is actually worse in coverage right now than Isaiah Simmons is.
Wow.
So I think
Okay.
what you have here is a situation where Dan Quinn knows that, and Dan Quinn is not going to be putting him on those types of situations. What you're going to see Dan Quinn doing a lot is using Micah Parsons to cover running backs out of the backfield on short routes and bringing him up to the line of scrimmage, blitzing him for run blitzes. So it really comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo recognizing and understanding the blitz is coming, knowing where to go with the football,
Right.
knowing what his checks are, getting them in and out of the right plays. So I think you're going to come out and see some heavy
Right.
load run sets, maybe some overloads to one side of the football to try and run and see where they put Micah Parsons. Are they putting him on the backside and blitzing him to try and take away the counter opportunities for the 49ers? Or are they putting him strong side, play side, I guess if some people want to refer to it as, and trying to have him get through the backfield and make a play coming from that angle, whether that's from the linebacker spot or on the D line? I think it actually bodes well for the Niners if the Cowboys do what a lot of teams have done to the Niners this year, which is to put that fifth guy on the line of scrimmage. If they decide to walk Micah Parsons down to the line of scrimmage, I think this is a positive thing for the 49ers, because here's the problem. If you walk him down as the fifth guy on the left side of the line, who's he got over there? Trent Williams,
right.
or George freaking Kittle. Either the best run blocking tight end in the league or the best left tackle, possibly the best player in all of football in Trent Williams. That's not a recipe for success.
Yeah.
So if you do walk him down, is it going to be on the right side by Tom Compton? Tom Compton has shown he graded out as PFF's best right tackle in football since week 8. He's the best right tackle in football, graded out by PFF. I know it's crazy to think. This is crazy to think. But think back to 2019. Think back to 2019.
Yeah.
In 2019, that's what Mike McGlinchey graded out as. He graded out as one of the best run blocking right tackles in all of football.
Yeah. That's a good point.
McGlinchey always struggles in pass pro sets. It's not his strength. He's not a guy who just straight kick slides and makes great blocks. It's not what he does. Tom Compton doesn't do that either. But when you can run the football effectively and you can run play action or
Yeah.
keep guys from just straight pinning the ears back and bull rushing or speed rushing off the edge, then Tom Compton and Mike McGlinchey have success. I mean, what is Micah Parsons? He's a straight pin the ears back, go type of guy. So if they
Right.
walk
Yeah,
him
that's
down on
good.
that, they walk him down on that side, they're just going to bring a guy across to kick. And that's either going to be Juszczyk or George Kittle coming back across to kick him out, take him out of the
Right.
play, and then run your counter going back the other direction. I think this actually bodes well for the Niners. I think if they load the box up, then you have pass situations where Parsons going to be trying to cover in space. And I think that puts him on
Right.
one of a few guys. It puts him on Elijah Mitchell coming out of the backfield, or if Debo's back there, it puts him on Debo.
Debo,
And that's a problem.
which yeah, that is.
That'd be a huge
So
problem.
well, so basically what you're saying is, like, my question is to you, do you think they're going to put him back in coverage more or rush more?
I think they're going to rush him. I think they're going to rush him. They're going to
Yeah,
blitz him.
that's what I was thinking too.
They're going to try and get after Jimmy. They're going to try and blow up the run game as best they can.
Yeah, yeah,
The question is are they setting him through B gap, A gap? Are they setting him up the middle with his blitzes and his rushes, or are they using him on the outside to get around the edge? You know, I think if you're going to put him somewhere, I think the easiest place for him to have success is the interior, because I think, you know, the right side of the O-line, your Daniel Brunskill, Tom Compton, is the area where you can maybe get some mix-ups and some issues. But we'll see. We'll see what Dan Quinn has in store and what he decides to do. The only good thing is Kyle Shanahan knows Dan Quinn. He coached with Dan Quinn. He knows that defense. He knows what he wants to do. It really comes down to now Kyle not overthinking and basically out-coaching himself.
Yeah, and just like not starting on the offensive end, not starting slow like he did against the Rams, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, if that does happen, you would basically say goodbye to the our chances of winning that game, because we cannot get down like we did against the Rams early. I think if we do again, I do not think we're going to pull it away this time. So, but that's a good point. I mean, again, they're going to try to bring as many people in blitzes on pass situations because, again, just with the 49ers, they don't want to get exposed, you know, even though Trayvon Diggs, all the interceptions, everything else. Brandon Ayuk, I mean, I think you put Debo or Brandon Ayuk on Trayvon Diggs running routes against Trayvon Diggs, I think that's a nightmare matchup for them. So they're going to try to really send the pressure, really get after Jimmy Garoppolo, so then that back line won't get as exposed. And that's really, I think, what they're going to be looking for. It's just really if we can pick up the blitzes and if our receivers can get it done. And that's really the key. So
I agree with you on there. I agree with you there, man. I think the problem is for the Cowboys too is you're stretched really thin because they have not been good against the run. They're not good at setting the edge. So that means probably having to walk a fifth guy down to the line of scrimmage, which means it's most likely going to be Micah Parsons. So now you don't have him flowing downhill. You can run opposite of him, or you can run right at him. And if they don't set the edge well, that means linebackers and safeties have to flow. And if they flow and they're too aggressive, Elijah Mitchell has shown, and Kyle Shanahan trusts him. He trusts his eyes. He trusts what he can do. You can now cut back across the grain. As long as everyone sets their blocks, that means huge gash runs. The gap scheme is going to be huge this week in the run game. It's going to be very important for them to execute. And if they do it, you're able to get up to second level and make your blocks and secure first level. The Cowboys fans don't want to admit that. It could be a long day. But it also could go the other way. You know, they could be juiced, ready to go. Dan Quinn could come out with one heck of a game plan, and they could punch us in the mouth early, get up, and now we're playing from behind. That wouldn't necessarily be the best thing for the 49ers, but if there's one thing I do know, Kyle Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans know how to adjust. And if there's one thing that I know about Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn, they have struggled to adjust. They have struggled doing that throughout their coaching careers. So I think, you know, that's the nice thing is I think our coaches could find a way to keep us in the football game. But if you don't have to keep us in the football game, you can just get out early and take care of business. The game becomes a lot easier to manage.
And here's one key. I agree. Here's one key, though. Get the ball first, right, in the first half, because then you come out, you really throw them a few fastballs, maybe like have a really good first drive. And that's really been our problem all season long, is we really haven't had a good first drive. Maybe a few games we have, but that's going to be
just
huge key.
A handful, man. Just a handful. It feels like one of two things happens, right? It feels like either that first drive goes perfect,
Right.
almost
Or
too perfect,
yeah.
or it goes disastrously wrong. It's never like in the middle. It's never
Middle.
like
Yep.
all the way down the
Yep.
field and you settle for a 35-yard field goal. It's
Yeah.
either a touchdown and we surgically move down the field in 8 plays, or like think back Jacksonville and a couple other play games where it was
Yeah.
14, 15 play drives, or it's
Yeah.
3 and out. It's not in between. It's
Yeah.
it's one of the two.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, these are two coaches that we know very well. So I think we're gonna be able to exploit them, and that's why like they might find a few advantages, but like we know them pretty well to where I think offensively, I think we're gonna actually be able to have our way with the running game just because we know all their tricks, most of them at least. So that's why I think this is a great to me, this Cowboys matchup is actually a really good matchup, just with all the things that we do well and the Cowboys do well, because the Cowboys run the ball really good, but they like to get away from running the ball. And we stop the run really well. And so, and our secondary is improved. And then we run the ball really well, and they're not good at running, stopping the run. So there's a lot of keys in this matchup that is really going to decide it that, we do well and they don't do so well. So,
Agreed with you there, man. I think that's styles make fights, and
yeah,
this is a good style fight for the 49ers.
right.
We talked with our chat all the time, our Thursday live streams that we have, our
Yeah.
live Q&As with our chat and the Cutback crew over there on our channel. We talk about this a lot, and a lot of them said they don't know how they feel about this matchup. They're excited about the matchup. They think the Niners match up well, but
Yeah.
oh God, was there a better matchup? And Ant and I looked at the NFC and all the teams and said, really, there's no easy
Mm.
path. Whoever
Yeah.
comes out of
There
the
is.
NFC is
Yeah.
running the gauntlet this year. They're running the gauntlet.
Right.
You're gonna have to go through Tom. You're gonna have to go through Tom Brady. You're gonna have to go through Aaron Rodgers. You're going through
Yeah.
Matt Stafford.
Good
You're
point.
going through Kyler Murray. I mean, no matter what happens at the end of the day, whoever makes it to the Super Bowl is going to have to go
Yeah.
through a plethora of teams with a lot of strengths and good coaches. So it's just
Yeah.
like the NFC is
Yeah.
a body bag type of conference. George Kittle said it a few weeks ago. Against the Rams, it's a body bag type game.
Yeah.
And this week is going to be the same thing. The rest of the playoffs is going to be that way. The NFC is going to beat themselves up, and we
Right.
just hope the AFC does that enough as well, so that way
Yeah.
both teams are a little banged up going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and if you can't beat the best of the best, then you're not a Super Bowl contender. So I'm glad that obviously we'll have it's rough to go to Green Bay if we beat the Cowboys and everything else, but at the same time, that's what makes Super Bowl teams. And yeah, so
1,000%, man. 1,000%.
So, this is another one, do you think the 49ers will win? We already talked about the out coaching, but just real quick, do you think the 49ers, let's just touch on this a little bit more. Do you think the 49ers will win solely because they will out coach the Cowboys team? I mean, we've seen Mike McCarthy he's really questionable of a coach.
He's Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
he is who he
yeah.
is.
Yeah. So do you think do you think they'll win this game solely, not any advantages, but just solely because we'll be able to outcoach them when it really matters later on in the game?
I think that this is one of the matchups where that can just be the case.
Right.
I think if you look at the rest of the NFL in terms of matchups,
Yeah.
I don't see that being something that can happen in really any of the other games that are
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
this weekend. The Bills are not going to beat the Patriots because
Right.
McDermott outcoaches Bill Belichick. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be because Bill Belichick comes up with this incredible scheme, and the Bills can't run the football. That's why if the Patriots win, that'll be why it is. Yes,
Yeah.
Bill will be a big part of that, but the team will still have to execute offensively against their defense and be able to run the football and keep the Bills off the field. The Niners, they can run the ball. You can throw it when you need to. But there are so many weapons for the Dallas Cowboys on both sides of the ball. There's so much
Right.
talent there that at some point it has to come down to your coaches just getting
Coaching.
guys open and knowing what your opponent's doing and putting them in situations. So I think the Niners, that can be the case. But here's the thing that, I've seen a lot of Cowboys fans say this, and, I think a lot of 49ers fans feel this way. I think a lot of 49ers fans feel that we have as many weapons as the Cowboys. And what I will tell 49ers fans is, you're right. We do have as many weapons as the Cowboys. The
Right.
only difference has been is that some of the Cowboys' weapons have put up godly numbers,
Mm,
and so it's just hard to
yeah.
it's hard to recognize. It's hard for other fan bases to look at the Niners and see Fred Warner right now
Yeah.
this season because the numbers don't reflect an All-Pro season.
Yeah.
But what a lot of 49ers fans forget about Fred Warner this year is he sacrificed. He
Yeah.
sacrificed in a very similar way to what Eric Armstead did in 2020. Fred Warner wasn't playing the middle linebacker spot for a good chunk of the season. He was playing outside linebacker, and they were putting Aziz on the
Mm,
interior so that Aziz could stop the run and Fred could cover in space and then also somehow find a way to come in and help against the run,
yeah.
despite the fact that he was spaced out sometimes at the numbers coming in and helping clean up tackles against teams like the Arizona Cardinals early in the season, against Seattle early in the season, when your linebacking core was decimated.
Mhm.
Fred has made a butt ton of sacrifices this year in
Yeah.
terms of things that would have padded his numbers early in the season if he was the guy playing in the middle on run situations, being able to rack up a bunch of
Yeah.
tackles for lost things of that nature. We had a guy in Aziz who had elevated and was playing better and was playing, as D'Amico Ryan said, he was
Yeah.
one of the most improved players in the defense. And so you wanted him to play to his strengths. Aziz's strengths aren't covering out in space.
Right.
Aziz's
Right.
strengths are going downhill and making plays. So what did you do? Fred, we need you to go cover. We need you to be a guy who can do both. Aziz has got to be able to play to his strength right now because these are the
Right.
pieces we have. So I think for any team in the NFL or any fan base in the NFL, you're looking at the Niners and you see guys like Fred who aren't having the same year, and who's like, see, he's down. Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward, they're nobodies. You got a guy,
Right.
Emmanuel Mosley, who's an undrafted dude who he's never made a
Right.
Pro Bowl. You got a rookie out there in Aubrey Thomas. They were having to rely on Josh Norman. There was a point of the year we had fan bases asking who K'Wan Williams even was. Who is this guy? I've never even heard Niner
Yeah.
fans talk him up. It's the best nickel corner in all of football.
Yeah.
The Niners have the perfect pieces defensively. They have the perfect pieces to be able to do whatever you want. The nice thing about Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt is you don't have a free safety and a strong safety. You just have two safeties.
Right.
Either one can be the free or the strong. It doesn't matter. You can walk one up and put the other one in deep third, and you're fine.
Yeah.
That means D'Amico Ryans can disguise coverages in a lot of ways, and that makes it hard for opponents, and that makes your job as a coach easy. And it also makes it easy to outcoach an opponent because there's so many different things you can do with all the pieces. And then let's not also forget the fact that the GOAT, Coach Chris Kocurek, on the D line has this D line playing at a level that I don't think I've ever seen.
Right.
The run defense right now for the front four is absolutely incredible. It's better than 2019.
Oh, well, the run defense wasn't
Against the
even
run.
that good in
No.
2019. It was like giving up like 4 points. Like it was probably bottom half in the league in run defense. We were getting gashed in 2019.
Yeah.
The problem is our offense was so explosive in 2019 that the team really would have to throw the ball all the time. So it really didn't matter. But then when the Chiefs came into town, they started exposing all sorts of things. So
they were able to run when they needed to run, which softened up the defense, and then they were able to pass off that late in that football game, which is just not what you wanted. And look, at the end of the day, the 2019 season, it didn't end any of the way any of us wanted, but we also didn't. A lot of 49ers fans didn't expect us to be in a Super Bowl in 2019.
Yeah, right.
That was just supposed to be, make a playoffs type of year, and we kind of came out of nowhere. Everyone came in this year with the expectation of Super Bowl. Like, we need to be making a Super Bowl. This team has been to a Super Bowl. This roster is still intact. It's time. Like, you need to make a run. And now we're making the playoffs, and some people feel like, well, I guess we should just be happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody in our locker room right now who's just happy to be in the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan's not just happy to be in the playoffs. D'Amico Ryans isn't just happy to be in the playoffs. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't happy to be just in the playoffs. Jimmy has been talking about all week. I don't want this to end. I don't want this to end because I think he knows his time is running out here in San Francisco. And I think everyone knew that the minute you traded up for Trey Lance, there's a clock. And it's going to expire at some point. The question is just when it's going to expire. Yeah. So I think you have two coaches who are motivated. The coaches on the other side, their tendencies. You know what they want to do in terms of your head coach and Mike McCarthy, your offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore, and your defensive coordinator and Dan Quinn. It really just comes down to now is who can get their team to execute the vision and who's going to be the most disciplined. The most disciplined team is going to come out of this. Luckily for the Niners, we haven't seen a Niners team that shoots themselves in the foot in the second half of the season as much as we did early in the season.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys have consistently been a team that shoots themselves in the foot basically from start to finish this year.
Yeah. That's a good point you make. I mean, man, there
That isn't, and listen, that's not to say that the Niners are going to walk through this game and they're going to blow the
yeah.
Cowboys out. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, though, is that if the Niners continue to be the team that we've seen the last 9 weeks of the season, this game should go in San Francisco's favor.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, just the way we match up with them and everything like that, it's a pretty good matchup. So,
Agreed.
so with all the things that, I mean, thanks for giving all the amazing knowledge on there. Just like I always love talking to you because it's like I don't watch as much film, like the all 22 stuff. So you know a lot more. So it's always nice talking to you. You really give us like the in the game like kind of perspective, like what are the coaches game planning is
Ant and I coached. That's what we
yeah.
did. I
So
mean, and we coached, at a high level for what is most people. We coached high school. I started coaching high school football at 17 and took over as a varsity head coach for a basketball team at age 20. And
oh dang.
coached that program and a girls
Dang.
program at the same time for the last 4 years I was there. But I did that for 9 years. And
Yeah.
COVID kind of stopped us from being able to coach, and so we went into this, and it's translated great because all the things that we did as a coach, we still get to do doing the pod. You get to watch film,
Right.
we get to kind of scheme and look at this team and look what Kyle has typically done as a coach in his career. Look
Yeah.
at what D'Amico has done, and really just try and get into their headspace because that's what we're trying to do. It's not our game plan and what we think
Yeah.
what we would do. It's what have we seen from Kyle as coaches who create scouting reports and look at other coaches and their tendencies. What does Kyle do? What do his opponents do? And then what do the Niners? Well, how do we think the Niners are going to react? So that's been the nice part is we kind of get the same itch. We get to scratch that same itch as coaches.
Yeah.
Except now if the Niners lose, it's not on us. It's on
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
else.
Right. So next topic. We've broke it all down basically. Your game score for this game. Like who comes away with it at the end of the day? And what is the score? I mean, if you want, I can start. I think
Go ahead.
49ers are
Go
gonna
ahead.
win.
You start.
49ers I think are gonna win in a close one. I think it's gonna be a little bit more offensive than we think, 30-27. I mean, we're 31-28, something like that. I think it's gonna be very close. But at the end of the day, I think we're gonna be able to make enough plays to just beat them out, So yeah, 31-28 is mine.
Amin's got 30-17. I saw that there. I like
2017.
I like
Yeah.
2017. My bad.
So yeah,
I like your score. I like your score as well. Your score is
yeah.
fantastic. Ant on the pod went 34-27. And I went 30-20.
Okay.
For me, it's just one of those things where I think we've seen this script before, this
Yeah.
story unfold with these two teams. You have a team that's going to do a lot of things to try and stop the run,
Right.
and they may have some success early, but I think Kyle Shanahan has too many tricks up his sleeves, and this team is too physical for the Cowboys to consistently stop the run game. And if you can't consistently stop the run game for 3.5 quarters, then the Niners are going to eventually get to a point where they run the ball 35, 40 times. And the Niners have shown when they run the ball 35, 40 times, they're hard to beat.
Yeah, and they made a comeback against the Rams because of that, because we were able to run it. I mean, there was one drive where Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't even think, passed it, and we scored a touchdown. So that's going to be key, is just running the ball and how much we can stop it. Yeah.
I want to hear this from you, Ben, because I know you've been up and down on Jimmy this year, as a lot of fans have been, and a lot of talking heads and just media personality. Everyone's been up and down on Jimmy. Amin asked, can the 49ers win the Super Bowl with Jimmy G? How do you feel, and what are your thoughts on that? Before I give my answer, I want to hear from you, because I know it's been up and down for a lot of people this year.
Maybe we could. I definitely could see a scenario where we could, just because like this team is actually really like almost more talented than it was in 2019. Like I think that's how good it is. So I think we could. And here's the bottom line. He can't play like he did against the Rams, right? Because that's the type of thing where like 2 interceptions, you've got like, it's just, no, it's not, we're not going to be able to win. But like, if he plays safe football, and obviously he was shaking off the rust, so yes, if he plays safe football, I think we maybe could. but I'm still really scared about the Green Bay matchup because going into Lambeau and you're going to have to play all these games on the road,
Mhm.
going into Lambeau, everything else, that's tough. I mean, that's not easy to do. I don't care if 49ers, really good matchup for the Packers. At the end of the day, it's in Lambeau. I I'm gonna say no, but I could definitely see a realistic possibility where they do. That really no team could like. The realistic possibility is no team shuts down the run game. We just ride all the way behind the run game, and Debo Samuel does his thing. Uh, it wouldn't
That
be
would
on
be
Jimmy.
hey, that would be nice.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder. Like it wouldn't be the reason why. Like he wouldn't be the reason why we made the Super Bowl. But yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is 100% a yes. I think the Niners can 100% win the Super Bowl
Yeah.
with Jimmy G. But here's the only difference I think between I think Ant and I both. This is the difference between us and a lot of other people who talk about the Niners. I think that if the Niners win it, it has to be because of Jimmy Garoppolo. Because he's going to have to make the throws. He can't be afraid to
Right.
fail.
Right.
And
That's
Kyle's been
true.
saying this all week. He's not afraid to fail. He's not afraid to sling it. What I've seen the last 9 weeks from Jimmy Garoppolo is what I saw from Jimmy Garoppolo in 2017. It's a guy who's got
Mm,
everything to prove and nothing to lose. He
right.
knows his clock is running out in San Francisco. He knows the clock is
Good
ticking
point.
here. He loves it here. He loves the coaches here. He loves the fan base here. He loves the players here. He loves his teammates, the guys he's been around. This team that he has helped build.
Mm,
This team was nothing before he got here. It was nothing. We weren't making the playoffs. We weren't a good football team. We were
yeah.
hot garbage. He came in and won his first, I think it was 6 or 7 starts here in San Francisco. Um, this is a team that he's helped build. He has been a part of the foundation. And so when the time comes that his time is up, it is going to be a sad day. And, some 49ers fans will feel that
Yeah.
way. And some are going to be like, hey, straight A, who cares? Jimmy Garoppolo's gone. Thank God we're done with this guy. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who feel that way. And everyone is entitled to feel any way that they want. Min said the Niners are 2-6 when Jimmy Garoppolo throws a pick. Here's the difference in that stat, though. I can flip that stat on its head for you. Okay, the
Mhm.
two wins in that scenario are also 2 games where the Niners defense also created turnovers to get the turnover margin back to 0. When the turnover
Right.
margin is 0, the Niners win. So Jimmy Garoppolo can throw 2 picks if your defense is going to also force turnovers
Right.
as well. So Jimmy Garoppolo can make mistakes if the Niners are also forcing mistakes on the other side. So for me,
Right.
it just comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo's mistakes can't be back-breaking mistakes,
Right.
right? Where we have a chance. The Niners have been playing great all game long, and then we get into the red zone and Jimmy throws
And
a
he
pick, and
pick
we
like
go in
he
at
did it.
halftime barely ahead rather than up big. Tennessee game. It's a perfect example of it,
Right.
right?
Oh,
It was backbreaking because the Niners could
yeah.
have gone into halftime,
Yeah.
completely controlled that game, and we probably walk through them if that pick doesn't happen. We can't have backbreaking turnovers. Even 49ers fans last week, that turnover in the red zone, I had a bunch of people adding me on Twitter. Jimmy just folded in the red zone again. And I was like, I don't know about
Yeah.
folded, man. I was like,
Yeah.
it didn't look like a great pass, but he was getting hit as he threw. He put the ball to the right guy. It looked like he never should have thrown in triple coverage. And then my boy Johnny Dell Football Academy, he broke it
Yeah.
down and was like, no, based on the coverage, this is the right throw. It's just a tough throw. And it's like
Right.
that's kind of what I was saying in the game. It felt like it was the right read, just tough. He's trying to make
Yeah.
the throw with 2 guys smashing him as he's releasing. It's just a tough
Yeah.
throw to make. And unfortunately for Jimmy Garoppolo, it's Jalen Ramsey that's there to bobble the ball from the 5 all the way into the end zone and
Mm.
somehow come away with it. So look, I think Jimmy has shown to me in the last 9 weeks that he can make the right decision,
Yeah.
put the ball in the right spot, and give this team a chance. And if it's late in the football game and you're down or tied, that if you put the ball in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands, this offense can go down the field and score to win the
Yeah.
football
That's a
game.
good point. Yeah.
So I know if the Niners have a chance at the end of the football game, that Jimmy can help win it for this team, whether that's him throwing, whether that's
Mm.
him getting us into the red zone, checking us into the right play, and us running it in. I know that Jimmy Garoppolo can operate the offense when we need him to. So now it's just a matter of, can we keep games close? Because if we can beat anybody. And that's what
Right.
I mean. Most of our losses this year are one
Mm.
score games. That means one thing goes differently on either side of the ball, and you win the football game. That's
Yeah.
the team the Niners have been all season, and luckily for us, the adversity early in the year I think is going to play very well for us down the
Mm.
stretch.
Yeah, and the thing that we've had this year, and like you said, adversity, we've had experience, a lot of one-score games. You had both Seattle games were one score. Green Bay game was one score.
Tennessee.
Which Tennessee game was one score. Anything else?
I
I
mean,
think
both Seattle games were. I mean,
yeah. So
and he
yeah,
didn't play the second half of the Seattle game.
mm,
Then you had
yeah,
the both losses to the Cardinals. The first one he's not playing in, and the
right.
second one he is. But I mean, if we're honest, Jimmy didn't make mistakes in that second Cardinals game. It wasn't Jimmy.
Yeah, it
You
was.
had a fumble by Kittle and a fumble by Ayuk on
Yeah,
their side of the field. Those two turnovers is what cost us
yeah,
that game. Those weren't on Jimmy Garoppolo. So I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo played great in that game, threw for over 300 yards.
yeah,
Rushed for, I think he rushed for a touchdown in that game and something else. I mean, they did what they needed to against Arizona. They
yeah.
just shot themselves again on positive side of the field in situations that would have changed the momentum in the Niners' favor.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, Cowboys game gonna be exciting. I mean, thanks for coming on. I mean,
Hey
this
man,
was so much fun.
it
Your
was.
knowledge, everything else, I'm a 49ers fan, but I don't look into it that much, like all the film. So it's
You got
great to have.
time. You got time
Yeah,
to do that, Ben. You got time.
yeah,
You're young. You got a lot of years ahead of you, and you've already got a great head on your shoulder and a lot of knowledge already for someone your age, which is absolutely incredible. That's why I love coming on and talking with you because you're the
yeah.
next generation of 49er fan that's coming up behind guys like me. You're already way more passionate about this team than I was. I was a huge fan and watched every game,
Yeah.
but I never would have had the confidence to get on a platform and speak it into existence and out there into the ether at this age. I never would have had the confidence to do that. You're killing it, man. You just keep doing your thing, man. You're on the right track.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So, everyone, thanks for watching. This has been Alex from 49ers Cutback. 49ers play tomorrow at 2:30 Mountain Time, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. We will see you guys later. This was a lot of fun. Um, Go 49ers. I mean, that's all I got to say. Let's hope they beat the Cowboys. I mean, I have a few Cowboys friends, and if the Cowboys win,
You're
no.
never gonna
So
hear the end of it.
yeah, I know, and it's Cowboys fans. I mean, they're gonna go crazy if they win. But hey, if we know anything about the Cowboys, is they always find a way, or like Mike McCarthy in general, they always find a way to choke in the playoffs. Like they've never gotten past the wild card or no divisional round.
Divisional round.
Yeah, so if there's anything about the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, it's that. So I have confidence for this game. We'll see you guys later. That's been Alex. This has been a lot of fun, guys. We'll see you guys later. Peace.